Today, I want to talk about 4 obstacles to understanding. Obstacle means a difficulty or problem. And these are 4 ideas that I think still apply to everybody. Um, Things that we get confused about. They're easy to confuse us when we're trying to understand what's happening in the world. Now, this is from a guy called Francis Bacon, who was an English politician, but philosopher from a long time ago, from about 500 years ago. He lived from 1561 to 1626, as it says here, a long time ago. But he was one of the first famous people to talk about the importance of science and reason in making decisions, not looking to religion or beliefs. So he's kind of a modern thinker, one of the first modern thinkers. Anyway, he saw 4 obstacles, 4 problems that we have whenever we're trying to think. So that we could call this bias. Biases are ways that influence our thinking without us realizing. For example, number 1, the obstacle of the tribe. Tribe is your small group of people around you. And what he means here is that well, it says here, we project our views onto the world. Whatever you're thinking right now, or whatever we think now, we see it repeated in the world, even when it's not really there. For example, have you ever looked at clouds in the sky and go, "Oh, that looks like a face," and "Oh, that looks like a mountain," and "Oh, that looks like a milkshake"? They're not milkshakes. They're not mountains. They're not faces. They're just clouds. But we put meaning onto random things, and that's often a mistake. So his point is that just because you can make a shape out of something doesn't mean it's true. We what do I got here? We imagine that we know what dogs or cats are thinking. If you've ever played with a cat, my cats, as you've probably seen on videos, we can guess what they're thinking, but we don't really know because they're cats. And we assume, oh, he's being cute or he wants something. Maybe. Who knows what's going through their brain? So that's the first mistake we make, is we project our feelings onto other things that don't deserve it. Okay, number 2 is called the obstacle of the cave. Cave is like a hole in a mountain where you go in, but I think what he means here is our education, our upbringing, and our understanding of the world that defines reality. What? For example, if you go to university and all of your friends go to university, you may think the whole world is very educated, but it's not. It's just your little crowd of people. Um, or if you have friends and all of your friends hate Donald Trump, you may think that the whole world doesn't like Donald Trump, but there are people who love Donald Trump. Um, so how we are educated and our culture affects what we believe the rest of the world is like. But we must try and remove that influence. That's a difficult one, isn't it? The third one is called the obstacle of the marketplace. He says marketplace, but I think he means just society. And what he means is the words we use. How we use words affects how we think. So, an example of that would be in the news, we talk about a terrorist, right? We say, oh, it's a Muslim terrorist or an Afghanistan terrorist. But then we'll say about a Ukrainian, oh, they're a freedom fighter, fighting for freedom. Are they? I guess so. You've got terrorists over here, freedom fighters over here, but it depends how you look at it. A Russian would say, oh, no, the Ukrainians are terrorists. And the Ukrainians would say, no, 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 the Russians are terrorists. We are freedom fighters. So the words you use change how you see things. So the words you use. And finally, he's called it the obstacle of the theatre. What he means is fashion, or as I've written down here, fads. A fad, just here, a fad is a quick fashion or something that's very fashionable right now. For example, I don't know what's in fashion now. It's a fad. What? I don't know. It's a fad to be worried about coronavirus. Right now, everybody's worried about it. In a few years, we won't be. Or it's fashionable to think the world is going to end in with the climate change. It may do. It may be true, but this is what we're thinking about right now. It's a fad. How we're thinking right now. So these are the four dangers. So what we've got obstacle of the tribe. You know how we think all things are reflected by what we want. Obstacles of the cave, how our education has changed things, how we see the world, the words that we use. That's the third one, and the fourth one is fashion. So these four things affect how we see the world. Right. So what can we do about it? Well, Francis Bacon, he says, well, first of all, you should recognize the two things. Number one, recognize that it's a problem. Therefore, you can fight against it. And secondly, use science. What does he say? Use philosophy, logic, and science to test everything. So if you think something is true, test it. See that it really is true. And question your bias. And if you do that, then you'll be able to think more clearly. That's his advice, but of course, that was 500 years ago. Is it still true? So some of the way he phrases it is a little bit old-fashioned, but I think it's still true. Well, let's see. I've got three questions down here. Let me zoom in. It says, number one, do people today suffer from these same obstacles? Do we have these same four obstacles? I don't know. What do you think? Now we have Facebook and Twitter and everything. How could it be the same? I don't know. You tell me. Number two, which of these do you see in your life? Wow. I know it's a problem. What's the problem? The obstacle of the cave, our culture and upbringing. Certainly, you know, if all of your friends are Japanese, then you'll have Japanese points of view. If all of your friends are English, you'll have an English point of view. The trick is to have a mixture of different views, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, right. Let's see. So let's see. Number one, the people today suffer from these obstacles. Number two, which of these do you see in your life? Number three, how can we think more clearly and not be tricked by our own mistakes? That's a good question. I don't know how you can control yourself. Bacon thinks we should use more science. Do you think so? How can we not be fooled by today's problems? Wow. Anyway, good luck with that. Four obstacles to understanding. Four problems for understanding. I'll be interested to hear what you think about that. Okay, thank you very much, and I will see you shortly. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.